Feel like anxiety is the bossy roommate you didn't ask for but can't seem to evict? Maybe you have tried deep breathing, supplements, therapy, but still wonder what else could help.
So today we're bringing you a full lineup of options. We like to call it the 5 lines of defense for your anxious brain. And this is ranging from self help to advanced treatment. So if you want to find out what is available to improve your anxiety, you're in the right place. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Happy and Healthy Mind, program episode number 142. In these programs, we share tips for optimizing mental fitness so you could prevent unnecessary suffering due to stress related illnesses and live your best life with hope, health, and happiness. And if you joined us before, we have been discussing the content from my upcoming book, Ultimate Toolkit to Rewire Your Anxious Brain. We have already talked about mind techniques with the Mind CPR formula and lifestyle interventions in episodes 140 and 141. And today we talk about treatments for anxious brain.
Hi, I'm Dr. P. I'm your co host. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist and the founder of Well Minds MD. I love neuroscience and helping decode how your brain works and how to make it work even better.
Thank you for joining, and I'm your host, Dr. Rozina Lakhani. I help high achievers prevent burnout, anxiety, and depression. I have been serving over the last 26 years as an integrative psychiatrist, a best-selling author, speaker, and a university professor. I believe that prevention is the best medicine.
And before we dive in, just a quick reminder, a quick disclaimer that this podcast is for educational purposes only. So please reach out to your provider for personalized advice.
So let's dig in. So, Dr. P, so do your patients ever tell you that they feel like anxiety is coming to them from all different directions and they feel like they have a leaky umbrella?
Absolutely. My patients tell me, like I feel like my anxiety is coming from like every single direction. I don't even know where it's coming from half the time. And one minute I'm fine, and the next minute I'm like agonizing and spiraling over somebody's text, whether that meant my friend is mad at me.
Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing, we tend to think of anxiety as this one giant monster, but in reality, it is more like a puzzle. And to calm it, we need more than one tool.
Absolutely, which brings us to today's episode, your personalized toolkit for anxiety. We're calling it the 5 lines of defense for your anxious brain.
And no, it's not a checklist. You don't have to fail one to graduate to the next. You don't have to utilize everyone. Think of it more like your own mental health buffet. You get to build your plate based on what works for you.
Sounds good. So let's walk through each line of defense. I know we talked about a lot of self help techniques in our prior episodes. So today, let's start with the first one we're actually wired for, which is connection.
Yeah, people often say the opposite of anxiety is calm, but I think the opposite of anxiety is connection.
Absolutely. The nervous system, think of it as a radar. It's scanning for all these safety signals. And the strongest signal it picks up is other people. So when you feel seen and you feel supported, your brain literally says, you know what, we're okay now.
When that is happening, when you're feeling that, it's actually your ventral vagal system kicking in. It's the calm and connected part of your nervous system. Things like eye contact or laughter or even a hug, they activate the system. They tell your amygdala, stand down, we are safe.
Absolutely. I had a teenager who once told me just like lying on the floor with my dog helps me more than like meditation. And you know what? That's legit. That's valid. Connection, human or furry, regulates us.
That's so true. One of my patients called it co-regulation. She said, sometimes I don't have the strength to calm myself. So, but when I'm around someone grounded, their calm becomes mine.
So that's really powerful. And the science backs it up. Connection will reduce your cortisol, it will improve your resilience, and it helps you recover from stress faster.
Mhm. So let's make it practical. What are some ways people can build or rebuild their support system?
I would say start small, like one little text, one I'm thinking about you message. Reconnect with someone safe, even if it's been a while, or join a book club, an art club, or even like an online support group. It even could be a support group for anxiety or depression.
Mhm, mhm. And you should not underestimate power of volunteering because when you volunteer, it's kind of a double win. You're getting connection as well as you're getting the purpose. I always say to people, people don't need to fix you to help you heal. They just need to sit beside you without judgment.
Absolutely. I tell people, make a support map. A support map is basically like three names: one person who calms you down, one person who energizes you when you're feeling down in the dumps, and one person that truly just like listens non judgmentally.
Yeah. And then you can make a connection goal. So in my practice, as part of the Wild 5 wellness program we use, it has research backing for reducing anxiety by 42%. And one of the five things that is part of that program is social connection. So we ask people to connect with at least two people every day outside your immediate family. A short call, a voice note, even waving to your neighbor counts.
Mhm. Absolutely. And then there is this quote: anxiety whispers you're alone, and connection whispers back, no, you're not. I feel we heal in community. We don't heal in
Mhm,
isolation.
mhm. And then sometimes you were saying that you ask your patients to make the list of three people, one that makes you what were you using? Three
So
people?
I want one person that basically calms you down,
Hmm.
when you're feeling really stressed, one person that energizes you when you feel really low and down in the dumps, and one person that just sits and listens and is there for you no matter what.
Hmm. Hmm. And when I'm asking my patients, I say just make a list of all the people that you can connect and then start calling one by one because sometimes you call and they're not available. So so you just kind of give one by one, one after the other, and at least you have to talk to two people. And,
Absolutely.
and
I like
that
that.
really helps a lot of people. So, all right, once we've got that support system started, the next defense is one that helps us rewire from inside out, and that is psychotherapy.
Yes, and it's definitely okay, and it's definitely more than okay to seek help. If you've tried what you already know and it's not helping, go get professional help. So therapy is what helps you stop reacting, and it helps you start understanding yourself, your patterns and your behaviors.
Yeah, and I love that. I had a woman tell me, I didn't realize I could challenge my anxiety. You know, I thought it was just the truth screaming in my head. And that's where therapy stepped in. It gave her tools to question those thoughts.
Absolutely. So let's break down a few common therapy approaches for anxiety, because there are options, and it's not just like lying on somebody's couch talking about your childhood.
Right, yeah. Sometimes our patients come to my office and they say, "There's no couch." And it's like there's not no need to to have the couch. We can definitely talk about how to process your thoughts and modify them. So let's start with CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. What it is. Basically, it helps you notice and challenge your distorted thoughts. Like instead of thinking, I'm going to mess this up, and that causes anxiety, you learn to say, I'm nervous, but I'm also prepared. So it kind of help gradually retrain your brain to think in a different manner.
Absolutely. I think CBT, I like to think of it as detective work for your brain. So a thought comes in, you investigate it. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? No, it's not. Okay, you rewrite the script. It allows you to do that.
Yeah. And a similar approach I see as nowadays is called ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. Excuse me. And so ACT teaches you to accept your anxiety instead of fighting it and move towards what matters, even if fear is tagging along.
Absolutely. I tell my patients, you don't need to be fearless to live fully. ACT helps you say, yes, I'm scared, but I'm going to continue on. I'm going to continue to keep going.
Mhm.
Remember that bravery isn't the absence of fear.
Yeah. Feel the fear and do it anyways.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I know we're kind of jumping fast, but we want to kind of give you a overall picture of all the tools that are available, or most of the important research-backed tools that are available. So one of the tools that is used for OCD or specific fears is called ERP, or exposure and response prevention. And in that, you gradually face the fear without escaping it.
This one is tough, but it can be transformative. I once had a patient who had really bad public speaking anxiety and something he struggled with for a while. It took us some time. We started with him reading a grocery list aloud to me. And now, after a period of time, he's actually talking to his whole team. He's presenting to his whole team. I
Wonderful,
think it's
wonderful.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And my one of my favorite therapy approach is mindfulness-based therapies, like MBSR, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and MBCT, which is mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. These therapeutic approach help you anchor you in the present because anxiety loves dragging you in the future. Mindfulness brings you back in the present.
Exactly. So these therapies, I feel, help your brain's ability to kind of just pause. It'll notice, oh, that's an anxious thought, and so you stop following it down a rabbit hole. That's how I view it, at least.
Yeah. And let's be honest, therapy isn't always easy. Sometimes it brings up tough stuff. But I tell my patients, if you try to ignore the elephant in the room, it doesn't disappear. It keeps causing the problem. So we process it, we minimize it, and put it on the side. And in the case of elephant, put it in another big room. Or better yet, send it to the zoo.
Yes, I like that. And then finding the right therapist is actually the key. If it doesn't click at first, like, don't give up. I would say finding a therapist is a lot like dating. Give it a few tries to find your right match.
Yeah. And if you're listening and wondering if therapy is right for you, ask yourself, is anxiety interfering in my life? Have I tried other strategies and still feel stuck? Do I want to do I want help understanding my patterns, not just coping with them?
And if the answer to those is yes, then I would say go give therapy a shot. It's just one consult. It's just like one story shared. But this could be the start of something big and something healing.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So, all right, friends, we have covered two of the five lines of defense, connection and therapy, and we're just getting started.
Next up, we're diving into green pharmacy, which is all the natural supports that can help your brain without knocking you out. So it'll give you that calm without the sedation. So stay with us.
We say brain chill without knocking you out. All right. So, I'm a big fan of gentle natural support. Being an integrative psychiatrist, I use supplements and herbs and teas and all the things that quietly help the anxious brain excel. So let's kind of talk about some of those options.
Yes, I think that green pharmacy is like giving your brain a nice little warm hug. It's subtle, but it is powerful.
Yeah. So today I had a patient who started taking magnesium glycinate at night and said, I don't know if the magnesium or the fact that I'm finally sleeping, but I feel like myself again.
Yes, magnesium is amazing, especially the glycinate variety. It is calming without all that digestive drama. So magnesium will help regulate GABA, which is your neurotransmitter, and it is the brain's natural brake pedal. So you're not spinning wheels at 2 in the morning. And magnesium will also help your tight muscles relax.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people, it really helps with relaxation and sleep at
Yes.
bed.
And let's not forget L-theanine. I call it green tea in the capsule form because like L-theanine helps improve your alpha waves. So those alpha waves also increase when you're meditating. So L-theanine can kind of give you similar benefit. And it's perfect for folks who get anxious in social or performance situation because it can be taken as needed and doesn't have to be built up in the body.
Yes, and one of my college students swears by it. He calls it his presentation pill. So it doesn't give him any sedation. It just smooths out the rough edges.
Right,
And
because most of the other medications, if they calm down, they also give you sedation, but you don't want sedation
no, you don't.
with the calm.
Yeah.
And there's ashwagandha. It's an adaptogen. It helps your body adapt to the stress over time. So it's kind of a long game support, and so it's a wonderful tool too.
Yeah, I love ashwagandha. It's been around for centuries. It's really helpful for people who identify as being wired and tired. You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, like all of
Um,
us.
so this gently modulates cortisol, which is your stress hormone.
Yeah. And then sometimes we use these gentle herbal allies like chamomile and lavender and passion flower. Sometimes you use teas, tinctures, and even essential oils.
Yes, fun fact, lavender capsules, they go by the name Selexan. They're actually approved in some countries as anti-anxiety medications. In the US, it's available over the counter, so it's not just bedtime fluff. There's actually real botanical backup.
Yes, definitely. And a lot of people use omega-3 fatty acid, like fish oil is good for everything, for heart, but especially folks with mood swings and brain fog, it's a really great tool. It helps reduce inflammation and help with the long-term emotional regulation.
Absolutely. So the green pharmacy category, I think you should think of as your nervous system spa day, but with science to back it up.
That's sure, sure. And so just to recap, there are many green pharmacy options, but here are some common options that I use. One, we talked about magnesium glycinate for your nighttime calm and muscle tension. We talked about L-theanine for calm alertness during the day. We talked about ashwagandha for chronic stress and fatigue related anxiety. We talked about omega-3 for brain balance and emotional steadiness, and herbs like chamomile and lavender for gentle daily calm or sleep.
Yes. And then now, natural doesn't always mean like risk free. Always check for interactions with the medicines that you're taking and reach out to your doctor, especially if you're pregnant, you're nursing, or have medical conditions.
Yeah. Even simple tools like ashwagandha should not be used if you were pregnant.
Absolutely.
And less is sometimes more. So start with one.
Mhm.
Observe for 2 to 4 weeks and keep a little supplement journal if you want to track your sleep, your mood, your energy, and do these things with the advice of somebody who knows a green pharmacy. So you're not just trying everything in there.
Yes. No Googling best anxiety supplement and starting to take like 12 things all at once. Your brain wants a partner and not a surprise party.
That's right. That's right. All right, listeners, we want to know, have you tried any natural support for anxiety? What worked for you and what are you curious about trying? Send us a message. We love hearing your real life stories and we can answer your questions in our future episodes.
And remember, healing doesn't have to be loud and it doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be something simple as like one tea, one tablet, or one deep breath at a time.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so now that we've covered the calming power of connection, the guidance of therapy, and the quiet strength of natural support, let's talk about something that brings up big feelings, which is medication.
Yes, and I find that so many people, the word medication feel like line in the sand. Like it means they somehow failed at handling themselves. But that couldn't be further from the truth.
Exactly. One of my patients actually told me, I initially didn't want to take meds because it felt like I wasn't being strong enough to handle my own problems. But he said after a period of time, I thought, what if taking meds just means I'm finally letting myself get the help I need? I thought that was pretty powerful and that stuck with me.
Yeah. I had a similar moment with a client who tried every lifestyle shift, therapy approach, even supplements, and still felt like she was drowning. After starting medication, she told me it didn't fix everything, but it gave me room to breathe, and that was enough to start healing.
And that's the thing. Medicine isn't about erasing your anxiety, it's about lowering the volume so that your other tools can finally do their job.
Yeah. So let's break it down, some of the common medications that we use. We're not going to go in detail, but give a little idea. So the most common type of medication for anxiety are called SSRI, which is like selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. These include medications like Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, Celexa, Lexapro, and others. They help raise the serotonin, which is your brain's I can handle this chemical. They basically stop the recycling program of,
Mhm.
the serotonin that is released in the neuronal space, and it prevents it from going back. That's why it's called a reuptake inhibitor. And so that's how the more serotonin is available for the neurons to take the action they need.
That's correct. And then we have classes like SNRIs, and these are medicines you've heard of, like Effexor and Cymbalta. And these target more than just serotonin. They target serotonin and norepinephrine. So these can help with like mood. These can help with like physical symptoms such as like, like muscle tension and fatigue.
Yeah,
They can also help with like focus.
yeah, yeah. And therefore, we also use it for other conditions like chronic pain and stuff. And, these are kind of more long-term medications, but sometimes you also use for short-term or situational support. One of the medications that we use is called beta blockers, like propranolol for performance anxiety, like when you're having racing heart or shaky hands before a presentation. When I learned about propranolol first time, um, it really stuck in my mind that Charlie Chaplin um, used to have a lot of performance anxiety. You would never
Never
believe
know
with
exactly.
him that big of a figure in the theater industry, but he had so much anxiety that he would kind of clench his fist and sometimes bleed. So then he was taking propranolol to help him perform. Yeah, all medications have benefits and side effects, but I remember using Charlie Chaplin example, and it helps a lot of people.
Does. And the other thing I love is hydroxyzine. Hydroxyzine is an allergy medicine, but for some reason, it really works well for anxiety, especially in the younger population. For anxiety that's very severe, I'm sure you've heard of benzodiazepines like Ativan or Xanax. So this can be helpful in like acute severe panic situations, but they're meant for short-term use because they have like a dependence potential.
Right. So I always tell people not to use more than 2 to 6 weeks, and it should be used as needed rather than chronically. And some people do get stuck on it, and then it's really hard to taper them off. So we are always trying to help people get off them. And then also buspirone, that's kind of that gentle daily anti-anxiety that works differently than SSRI in some ways and similar to SSRI in some ways, and but doesn't have the sexual side effects and other side effects. And people find it helpful as a long-term option without sedation.
Absolutely. And so here's the key. None of these medicines are like a one size fits all. It takes time. I tell people start low, go slow, give the medicine at least 6 weeks. So normally for an antidepressant to work, it's going to take you 8 weeks, but at least give it 6 weeks so you can kind of see, is it working or not before deciding, on changing it or discontinuing it.
And one important thing is tracking the changes, because many times, like patients would come and they would only remember what the previous day. It's very hard to remember what happened the whole month unless you have been tracking. So we always advise our patients to use a journal or an app to log the symptoms, side effects, and the benefits. And also another important thing is don't stop the medication cold turkey, because sometimes then people go through withdrawal anxiety when suddenly you stop. So taper medication slowly under medical supervision unless it's absolutely necessary to stop right away.
Absolutely. And if you have any side effects, it's really important you talk to your doctor. Now, some of these medicines like SSRIs, there are some GI side effects that most people might get in the first 2 weeks. Like it can cause temporary nausea and fatigue, or even an initial spike in anxiety before it, levels out. This doesn't mean that the medicine is not working because you're feeling more anxious. It just means your brain is adjusting, and that should level off in about 2 weeks.
If something is not fit, it's okay. It's not a failure, it's information. Every body is different, and there are always other options. One of my favorite metaphor is I tell them, like, if you need to kind of wash your hands in the sink, when the kids are little, we give them the stool so that they can reach the height and they can wash the hand. Stool doesn't mean that they don't have to wash their hands. Stool gives them the height to be able to wash the hands. So medication doesn't mean that you don't have to work on your thought training. It just means that it gives you the ability to work on your thought training, your lifestyle. That's a tool in your arms of tools.
I like that. And we'd really love to hear from you. What questions do you have about anxiety medicines? Have you had any experiences? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they confusing? If you want to share with us, we would love to understand it a little bit better. Send us a message and we'll answer your questions in a future episode.
And remember, needing more support doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're listening to your body and your mind, what it truly needs. And that's strength. All right, so Dr. P, so we have talked through the first four lines of defense: support, therapy, natural tools, and medications. And for many people, those are enough.
But sometimes for some people it's really not enough. Even after doing all of those things, anxiety still feels stuck. It feels heavy. It feels relentless.
Yeah. And that's where advanced interventions come in. So let's keep it for our next episode, especially for people with treatment resistant anxiety or depression. And so we'll talk about it in our episode number 143.
Mhm. So today, let's see, we've unpacked four lines of defense from Anxiety Toolkit. We've unpacked connection, therapy, natural supports, and medication.
And each one offers its own kind of support. None of them mean you have failed, they mean you're building your own healing path with science, soul, and support.
Yes. And so tell us, which five lines of defense have you tried? Which ones are you using currently? Which ones are you curious about, kind of exploring in the future? Drop a comment, send us a message. We love hearing to see what like resonates with you.
If you found value in this program, we have an additional gift for you. Click the link below to get a free copy of the book, Ultimate Toolkit to Rewire Your Anxious Brain. And if you love this program, show it by liking and subscribing. If you benefited from the program, guess what? Others will too. We all want to make a difference. All you have to do is click the share button, and when others benefit, you get to bask in the benefit too.
We're all in this together. It's just one breath, one step at a time, one little strategy at a time.
So until next time, stay connected, stay curious, and as always,
Stay
stay
happy
happy and
and
healthy.
healthy.
Till next time.
Bye.